Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Metagame Book Club for November 2014. My name is Chris Lukes, and I will be co-facilitating Track 2. So we're here to give you an overview of the book club. But with me, as always, is Kay.
Hi, everybody. I just pulling up my avatar here for now. and the reason why we have this one, it's Tajima Mori, which might happen to be the Japanese god of confection. But the character really is from World of Warcraft, and it's an orc. And the reason why we have this is because we're going to be doing things this time that revolve around readings that were actually made for a game.
Sure. So what we have is, as we talked about, we're doing the Metagame Book Club. And what we're looking at is uncovering lore and more. So our last one, we focused a bit on more intro setting, and we looked at For the Win. This time we're looking at several different things. So if you want to get a little bit more background on the type of game that World of Warcraft is, you can check out the MMO and Education Hangout that was provided for Connected Educator 2014 as we're wrapping up Connected Educator Month here in October. So what we're going to focus on this overview is Track 2. And Track 2, the books, yes, I said books, there's two of them, is The Rise of the Horde and The Power of Myth. So while these books may not initially sound like they're the same, what's interesting about it is The Rise of the Horde is an origin story. So it'll be fun to talk about that and see, draw comparisons as well as pull some different things out. As always, our intrepid adventures in the Metagame Book Club, we're being assisted by Inevitable Betrayal, the Guild, so thank you all the guildies there who are helping out and will be helping out throughout the next month during November. So World of Warcraft, we're talking about a very large MMO, or massively multiplayer online game. It's a very, very large game, lots of people in it, lots of people connecting from all over the world playing this one game. And so what you see here is the official World of Warcraft website. You saw Tajima Mori, you saw her loading screen there, and that was what the game looks like in game. We've showed you several times looking at games, and we'll also give you different pictures throughout the month of November. We'll show you what's going on over there in game, so you guys get a feel for the game itself. So, when I said massive, what do I mean by massive? Well, basically this is what I'm looking at when I talk about massive. So EVE Online is also another large MMO, and that has about 500,000 subscribers in 2013. World of Warcraft is now at 7.4 million subscribers, which is a bit down from their max, which was at 10 million. So there's lots of people who've been playing World of Warcraft. There's lots of people around. And you see Minecraft for comparison. Minecraft has 100 million registered users, and roughly 14.3% of those users are actually converted to paying for a Minecraft and paying for the game as opposed to playing a free version. So this is sort of the numbers we're talking about with an MMO. So with World of Warcraft itself, it's 7.4 million, so it gives you a good feel that there's lots of people there. So really what's going on in this book, in Rise of the Horde, is that really, again, it's the origins. So we're going to explore the beginnings of the conflict between the Horde and the Alliance, which are the two main factions within the game World of Warcraft. And Azeroth is the world in which the Alliance lives in. And we'll talk a little bit about the differences in the worlds really quickly. But this is just sort of the overview. So this is an origin story. We get to find out background about several different races. And then the book wraps up with the prep and the first push forward of the Horde of the Orcish Horde into the world of Azeroth. So that's sort of what we're doing. Trying not to give you too much information since it's just a preview. So the book is Rise of the Horde by Christie and Holden. So here's a picture of the book and of the author. It's coincidental, isn't it, that we have both pictures. So this is what you have. You can grab the book. The book's available via paperback. You can also get it on Kindle. You can also download it on an e-reader. So there's lots of things you do. You can go to Amazon, go to your favorite bookseller, and check it out. You can grab the book. It's pretty quick read, about 400 or so pages. So it'll be something that will allow us to go ahead and push through. So next up we have places and people. So for Rise of the Horde, we already talked about this. So one of the first places is Draenor. This is where we spend most of the story. This is where the Rise of the Horde takes place. And this is also where the new expansion is coming up in World of Warcraft, which is coming out in November as well. Yes, very coincidental that we're doing Horde during the expansion of World of Warcraft. And so this is what Draenor looks like in the upcoming expansion. So this is sort of give you a feel for the area. It gives you a feel for what the landmass looks like. That as you're reading, you can sort of see what that is. Most of your action is going to take place in and around this sort of area down here. This nice little Negron and a couple of different areas here is really where most of the action is going to be taking place. So next up we have Azeroth. So at the very end of the book, we make our first foray into Azeroth, and this is sort of what Azeroth looks like right now. So basically, you have several different land masses. With World of Warcraft, every time that they come out with an expansion, we always surprisingly find new land. So who knows if this is all the World of Warcraft has to offer. So there's large amounts of information there. The people, mostly we're dealing with orcs. So these are your stereotypical green orcs. You'll learn that green was not actually their original color. Green is an effect of some choices that they make. And so you'll learn about those choices and the different benefits and cons that they got. So, like I said, so here is your orcs that everyone's familiar with. And everyone's familiar with the orcs being bad guys. And that's one of the interesting things about World of Warcraft. It's one of the first games that when it first came out that allows you to actually play what was perceived as the enemy race. You know, usually you were looking at the good races. You were playing the humans, the gnomes, the elves. You were looking at a lot of different things there. And then you never got to play the evil races, or what most people say, good and evil. The evil races or the bad races were the orcs, the goblins, the bad people, the undead, things like that. And one of the interesting things you'll find out in World of Warcraft if you play the game is it's all relative. You know, guess what? The people on the Horde side, they don't think that the Horde side is the evil side. They think the Alliance side is the evil side. The people who are on the Alliance side, they feel the Horde is the evil side. So it's really interesting time, and as a player, you can actually play both sides, so you can actually get a feel for it from either side. And the game does sort of play up that conflict. So those are the two major factions that you see in there. And then on the other side, you have the orcs. There's lots of orcs. Orc. And then what happens is you meet the Draenei, or the Eredar. What happens is the Eredar is actually the original name for the species. And then what happened is you'll find out that Draenei means the exiled ones. And you'll find out why if you read the book. See, how's that for a hook? A teaser. But here's the Draenei. So this is what the two conflicting races, two major races you're going to run into, with orcs and Draenei. So the book sort of goes through, and it gives you a good walkthrough. And then what happens is at the very end, you start getting into this portion of the game. And this is the two factions we had talked about earlier, the Alliance and the Horde. You can see from this little screenshot here, the Alliances are noble races bound together by proud traditions of nobility. Many different people, Alliance people, all contribute techno-arcane. And on the other side, you have the Horde, which is the proud nations of the Horde. They're loosely joined in an alliance of convenience against a hostile world that would seek to destroy them. So there's lots of different things that you see. There's different aspects you can see in the game and as they play off each other. And so you start getting into that. And what's interesting is you do get a foreword kind of for every chapter that is written by a character named Thrall. And Thrall is the war chief of the Horde, as it is in present day, at the time the book was written, in present day World of Warcraft. So the Horde, we talked about it. These are the different races: orcs, Forsaken, Tauren, Trolls, Blood Elves, and most recently added goblins. Again, they're the misunderstood and cast aside. So these are sort of the people who are on the margins. These are considered the monstrous races that are out there. Then you have the Alliance, which is the typical fantasy type of races: humans, night elves, dwarves, gnomes. They've added Draenei, and they just recently added Worgen, so werewolves. So basically, that's what you see there in the Alliance and in the Horde. So these are the things you're going to see. These are the pieces. These are some of the pieces that come into play. We'll give you lots more resources about this. We'll give you lots more places to go. There's going to be websites. There's going to be videos. So lots of things for you to sort of get caught up and get the perspective from that. And so for the next book, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kay to talk about The Power of Myth.
Okay, the book that we're going to be reading as a supplement with The Rise of the Horde, which is very much focused on the lore and the canon with World of Warcraft, we're going to be looking at The Power of Myth. Now, if you remember, both of these books were voted upon, and World of Warcraft having its 10th anniversary in November really, I think, swayed the vote to read The Rise of the Horde. Now, The Rise of the Horde is the history of World of Warcraft. The fun thing about it is the expansion that's coming out in the game. So the big thing that's being introduced in the game is actually an alternate reality. The fun part of it is that The Rise of the Horde tells the history of it, but for everyone who's playing the game, an alternate reality happens because someone goes back in time and changes the game. So because of that, and because we wanted to bring some more of mythology and literature and humanities into it, we'll be reading as a companion The Power of Myth. Now, we had you vote on several different Joseph Campbell books and a couple other books to be the companion book, but you decided on The Power of Myth. Now, The Power of the Myth isn't a book written by Joseph Campbell. Instead, it is the interview from Bill Moyers of Joseph Campbell that happened in the 80s. And it's a quintessential interview that talks about the power of myth and the hero and life in general. And what Joseph Campbell does is really go over a lot of different archetypes that we can see and we'll be seeing as we're reading The Rise of the Horde. So we're not going to read the whole book when it comes to The Power of Myth, although it'll probably suck you in and get you there anyway. We'll be taking out specific versions of it. Now, the other thing about it is there is a DVD. There are CDs. You can listen to this on audio. You can decide that you want to watch the video. So you have a lot of different options for pairing it there.
Exactly, and The Power of Myth is interesting because it's actually the transcript of the interview, a lot of it. So it's broken out in that way. So it'll be interesting to see how these two coexist, and seeing the comparisons through there. So one of the things that we're also going to let you guys know, just as we're sort of wrapping up here, is a look into the future. So apparently, people messing around the future, they didn't learn from the Doctor Who episodes, but we have learned. And we're going to focus just on the book club. So we're just going to focus on the book club. So what we have coming up for us is in spring 2015, yes, I know, it's so far in the future, I just blew your mind, is Lee Sheldon's The Multiplayer Classroom. So here we are, we're going to look at that in the spring. We'll look at that book, really focus on the concept of gamification and how do you gamify a course. So it is The Multiplayer Classroom. It's a very good book. It'll be a pretty quick read and sort of give you some ideas of how you might utilize that in your class. Now, I will say, for those of you that teach online, the Multiplayer Classroom is really based on his face-to-face class. But you can still apply a lot of things to an online course, and some of the things you might be actually be able to apply a little bit better. Next up, on summer 2015, we are going to look at Jesse Schell's The Art of Game Design. And this book is going to give you a bunch of different resources and how we look at game design, how we can go ahead and utilize game design as educators, and what sort of hooks and tricks we can use.
Okay, and just to wrap this up, we'll show you exactly where the Metagame Book Club is going to live online. I have up here, this is our Google site. And this is where we put all our discussions, and we just put up, go ahead and introduce yourself. The club will officially be opening next Saturday, November 1st, and this is really where we put everything up. And coming down here, we'll take a quick look and we'll pull up the metagame site. This is where we're going to have all the materials in reading. So that's our metagame Google site. And then next, what we'll be looking at is the Flickr site. So this is our Flickr site, and we've been putting things up from the last book club. This is also the Flickr site of the Games and Simulation Network. So we've been putting things up along the way, and we'll be continuing to put up these pictures. And as I'm scrolling through, you can see a lot that are from Connected Educator Month. And let me go back. And then if you want to go ahead and sign up for it, we have this website right here. So these are a couple of the different places that you'll be going to for the Metagame Book Club. So we're about to go ahead and wrap this one up. And Chris, do you have anything else?
No, I think that I think we pretty much did a pretty good overview of what's going on. So we look forward to seeing everybody next week, actually, because we'll get everything kicked off on November 1st. So as always, thank you all for watching. Thank you as well to the Devil Betrayal Guild for all your help that you're going to be doing coming up. And we will see everybody online. Thank you all. Bye.